Good morning. We're back in the shop. It's been a few days. I last left you after gluing up the center shim block. It's been a few days. I decided to take a couple of days and refine this bending platen. It's a bit thinner and a bit lighter. I recut this a couple of times. First try, I messed up the location of the holes. But anyways, the reason I recut this is I had originally put the locating holes here in the waist thinking it was a good idea, but every time I saw all the subsequent jigs and templates and things that I'm going to have to do for this just don't work well with the locating holes in the waist. There's a reason Gibson puts them in the ends, and so I recut the template to do that. I couldn't put this back on the machine exactly the way it came off, so I had to wipe it off and recut the whole bending form, which is no big deal. It was an hour of cutting. I can live with that. So now the holes are where they go, and this is kind of my standard. So when I cut a template for the outline of the body, these holes will also be the same distance apart, so that everything from here on will be located off of these holes. So every time it gets removed from one jig or put a template on, or a template removed and switched to another jig, these locating holes are the consistent part of making sure everything gets lined up in the exact same place every time. And so I cut that. I covered the last couple of days. Cut it last night. Actually, I cut it Thursday night. I know, today's Thursday. It's Thanksgiving, and I've got a 4-day weekend, so we're going to get a lot done. Hopefully we'll get a lot done. So we cut that out, got those holes drilled, and this is the final bending form here. I put a bunch of polyurethane on it. I'll wax it so no glue will stick to it. But in the end, this is our ES-335 bending form. So now that we've got that last couple of days taken, I didn't take any video of that because I figured you guys saw it get cut the first time. It doesn't need to be seen again. So that is ready. The next thing is, because we've got this center strip, and remember it's thicker than it needs to be. We need it, so you'll see, I don't know if you can see, but it doesn't lay flat yet because it's proud. This strip is about, it looks like it's a little heavier than a 32nd proud, and we need to get this all planed down smooth so that it's even and flush with the outer flat field here. Yeah, so I won't be able to like just push this up against some dogs and really get this plane nice and flat. It's going to wobble all over hell, right? So what I'll do, I've decided, is to make basically this bending form, but invert the profile so it's a dish, and line it with some neoprene, and then this can set in that, and that'll hold a good support so I don't flex anything while I'm planing on it. And then I'll put a little stop at either end so that it holds it while I push against it. And that'll give me a nice, good support. If I did it right, I could probably, and I'm not going to do it right because I know I won't, but if I got lucky, I could potentially put it in that negative dished out form and run this through the drum sander, but I'm skeptical that's going to be an option. So we'll get you set up on the CNC and cut out that dish platform. All right, so we've got a sheet of melamine in here. This is particle board. It's what I have laying around. This is not a critical shape, so I don't really feel too bad about using crappy wood on this, and it's what I have laying around. And I don't know if anybody really wants to go to the desk pot on Thanksgiving Day. It might actually be empty, but I will stick around the house if I can. So, I already cut the 1/8 inch. I already cut the 1/4 inch locating holes using an 1/8 inch bit. Got a 1/2 inch straight bit in now. We're going to do the roughing pass. I'm going to put on some ear protection, dust collection, and I don't know another word that rhymes, so you're going to get lame joke recognition. I don't know. Off we go. That's the roughing toolpath, and you can kind of already see the basic shape looks pretty much right. And that's the rough, so we'll change out to a ball mill here, a round end. I don't have any ball end mills, but I have a round nose router bit that we'll use. So we have our form, our negative form here, our support. We're just going to call it the support. Have that clamped up in the bench there on the vise with a couple little, these are 3/16 or so masonite or tempered hardboard. I keep a bunch of these little things around for clamping blocks, and they work good as stops. We're going to take this little bit of neoprene, 1/8 inch thick neoprene, just to cushion things just a little bit to kind of keep. So I figure if I'm using the good stuff, I don't want to scratch the surface any more than necessary. And then we'll take our sheet with the board glued in and set it in, and it nestles in there really nicely. I can't really, like, I could pull it backwards, but once it's against those stops and I start planing, it lifts a little. So what I'll probably do is put a hold fast on it right here, if I can get in there. And there's something in my way. It's a brick. Let me get that brick out of the way. There. We'll put that one there. We might put one over here too, just to help keep it from kicking up when I'm planing on it here. I think that might be ideal. Okay, we'll get some more pad things for this, and I'll get you guys zoomed in. You can see the planing fun. All right. I spun it around because it seems the grain direction on this is running that way. So right now I'm just taking really light cuts because I'm just getting a feel for things. But at some point I'll probably dial the blade down a bit more. This ought to be fun. Kind of boring to watch, I guess, but. And we, it was, what, 10, 15 minutes maybe? And we got it just a tiny bit hollow in the middle, which is fine. This will flatten out anyway, so that worked out really well. You can see here, pretty good and smooth right there, pretty clean. This board was a 2x6, so the grain in it is moved around, but it's pretty flat here. Got to be very careful up on this edge. It'll dig in on the leading edge when the plane first bites in, but it's pretty good. I think we can deal with this. I think this will work just fine. So that'll do the flattening. I think this jig worked well. We'll do that again for the big one, for the real one. So the next steps, we're going to cut out a pattern to do the outline and the F-holes. So that'll be a pattern here to cut out an F-hole here and an F-hole here. I'm kind of holding off on, I might do the pickup holes, maybe. But that's pretty close to that, so we'll bring you back when that comes up. Okay, so we've got our little bit of 1/2" MDF here. We're going to use this to make a template. This will be like the outer profile template for cutting the outer profile. Then there's also going to be the F-hole routing template and the pickup hole routing templates. So I'm going to make the pockets for the pickups, the F-holes. It's also going to have the holes for the electronics, but they're not full size. They're going to be just locating holes, and then when I get the actual electronics hardware, I'll drill those out to the final dimension manually, just with a hand drill. The F-holes and the pickup pocket templates are oversized by 1/8 of an inch, so I can use a handheld, like a plunge router with a template guide bushing that's an 1/8 inch radius larger than the router bit. Use that to cut the F-holes in the pockets. There's also going to be a couple of little fillers, because the pickup pockets are actually 2 different profiles at 2 different, they're 2 different depth pockets. There's 2 little wings on the outside that are deeper than the main body pocket. So what I'll do is I'll cut it out so that I have this little filler insert that can go in and guide the router for the tiny spots, for the small ends that have to go deeper, and the larger center point that can be larger, that'll be shallower. So there's also going to be a couple of holes out here, my same standard locating holes for this guitar. And these will have little, like a tab on the end, so the profile. So we'll get this going. I just wanted to put a note out. Nobody's said anything, but it's been this sort of sneaking, I don't know if it's guilty feeling or what, but I'm using a CNC to build this guitar. Not everybody has a CNC, and this guitar was built before there were CNCs. So I'm cheating. In some eyes it's cheating, in other eyes it's not. To me, it's using the tools I have, and really the main chunks of the guitar being done, very little CNC work is actually being done on the guitar. I'll cut the fret slots for the neck, for the fretboard, and with the CNC, and I'll probably do the shim cedar board that you saw in part 3, whatever the part was, part 3 or 4 previous. The thing you just saw me planing, I cut that profile, that shape on the CNC. I don't think I'll use it for much more. The majority of the rest of this will not be CNC. So I just wanted to, if anybody was concerned that this is going to be some big old CNC project, it really isn't. The guitar itself, I'm going to cut very little with the CNC, the actual pieces of the guitar. I'm going to use the CNC to make patterns and templates and jigs and fixtures and things for making the guitar easier, but I'm not going to be using it on the guitar much at all. Just wanted to make a note of that in case anybody wondered, before I really get into the guitar itself, because I'm showing a lot of CNC, and I'm sensitive to the fact that some people might see that as limiting, cheating, faking. I don't know. It's a tool. The very brief little view of my opinion and philosophy on CNC. It's not cheating. Anybody who thinks it is doesn't know how to use CNC. I'm sorry. Unless you've done it, you don't know that there's as much or more work to be done with a CNC. You have to be a good woodworker, and you have to have the CNC skills before you can do things properly. Anyways, unless you've done it, your criticisms aren't really that powerful. But you can think what you want. I'm not going to try to change your mind. Think what you want. However, my philosophy on CNC: when you've got wood and you want it in a certain shape, you have to remove wood. You have to have tools to do that. You don't have fingernails that are strong enough to claw the wood away. So for centuries, we have been using tools to take the wood out that is not the shape that we're after. It's removing the stuff that is not the shape of whatever I'm looking for. We've been doing that as humans for thousands of years. So I'll say things like, you'll hear things like, oh, CNC is just push a button and go. If you think that's what it is, I'll film all of the details. If you want, make a comment. I'll film all of the details of what it takes to get from brain to the machine before you even get a part, because there's time, there's effort, and there's skill. You have to be able to model it. If you can't model it, you can't cut it. The machine is a dumb robot. It only does what it's instructed. There's nothing out there that automates the instruction. You have to tell it the part size and shape and dimensions that you want. You also have to tell it what tool you use to cut. I said this was going to be small, didn't I? CNC is not cheating. If you think it is, I'm sorry. It's not true. It's just a tool. We have been using tools as humans for thousands of years to cut wood away. Wood's got to get removed. You might as well use a tool to do that, right? This just happens to be a tool that does it without me having to hold on to this. Truly, how different is a board cut out on a CNC versus by hand? In the end, you put the two side by side, you're not going to notice. If you can, more power to you. I can't tell. Sorry, got myself on a rant. I may or may not include that into the video. Anyway, let's get set up. I've got an 1/8 inch bit in right now. We're going to use that to center and cut out our through holes and other things and all those interior cuts, and then we'll switch off and do a pocket. Actually, we should have done a 1/2 inch first. Yes, we should have. Let's do a 1/2 inch first. I'm going to switch things out. Wow. I don't know how much of that is going to stay, but yeah, we're going to get some cutting going here. Looks reasonably decent quality. We're going to check the fit of these little, oop, we didn't cut all the way through on those. Okay. Good to know. I think what happened was I did not set them to 51. That's okay though. I can live with this. We'll take a utility knife to it and free everything, and then we'll have a look at how it came out. Yeah, it looks like that just didn't quite cut through, which is not a problem at all. We'll just follow it around, free that apart, do the same here. There's an edge that's a little more than I thought it would need to be, but we'll get it. Left a very thin little paper skin here. Just get that freed up. There we go. Kind of trapped a little bit of the dirt there. Quick little bit of trimming here and we'll be in good shape. But it looks like I'm a little snug, actually. What I'll do is I'll sand this to fit perfectly, and I have no doubt we'll be able to get it to go in. Yep, there we go. Same goes for you, huh? Okay. So just a little bit of finishing up, and this template will be clear and ready to go. Get these to fit down inside of here. So what you've got, that's the pickup hole, right? And that's the shape. It's oversized by 1/8 of an inch. But that's the shape of the pickup hole the cavity at the level, that's the shape at the level of the pickup, but then there's these posts that have to go down. So this will go in as soon as I get it fitting well, and we'll fill that space in so we can do these end pockets a little bit deeper. So we'll just get these things cleaned up, and then I'll adjust their fit just a tad. There we are. That is beautiful. That will do nicely. Okay, so I'm going to mark these so that I put them in the same way every time. Like that. And that is our cutting template. We're getting closer. There's a lot of little jigs we got to make. I think we're nearing the end of the jig making units, thankfully. So next up, what is the next step? I think the next step is, I think we're about ready to work out our, I don't know what's next. We're going to figure out what's next, and I think the next bit will be probably getting ready to build the body and make a box. Because everything, all the hard stuff's done now. I've done all the testing, I've done most of the jig building, I think. I think there might be one more bit for doing the neck pocket and getting the bridge and tailpiece holes set up. And then there'll be a little bit for the headstock. But other than that, I believe we are very near ready to start actually cutting into some real wood. So let's confirm that, and I'll be back with you.